So some of our first leaks for the new Galaxy S10 prices are starting to trickle out of the leak market, the leaky pipe, the pipe that all of the data comes through that sometimes things get out of. You guys know how it is. And the numbers are here, and they're maybe not as great as everyone was hoping. But regardless, I think we need to start talking about them and if they're fair or not. Obviously worth is subjective. To plenty of you guys out there, this is more than fair, but let's just start out with the numbers themselves. There's rumored to be 3 versions of the Galaxy S10. Yes, the lineup is getting even more distorted than it already was between the S lineup and the Note lineup. Yes, now it is getting even more expanded, so now we're going to have a Galaxy S10 Lite, which will not have curved edges and will be at 5.8 inches. Then we'll have the regular Galaxy S10, which will be at 6.1 inches, a bizarrely similar screen size that we saw on another popular iPhone this year, as well as the Galaxy S10 Plus, which will have a 6.4 inch display on the front. Based on the leaks that we've been saying, we see a slightly larger camera hole on the Galaxy S10 Plus that many are saying are supposed to be either something to help with face unlocking biometrics or perhaps a wide-angle camera similar to the Pixel 3. So if you pay for the Plus version, you can have a dual camera on the front so that you can have an extra wide angle when you need to get everyone in that group selfie. But what are the prices? So for the S10 Lite, $750. For the regular Galaxy S10, $899, basically $900. And for the Galaxy S10 Plus, $1,000. Now, to some of you guys who have already seen this article, you may be seeing different numbers than what I'm telling you right now. And the reason is because this article details the different sizes and their different storage configurations and how much they're going to cost as being much more expensive. But the thing you have to remember are the prices that were leaked in this article are specifically about the UK prices, which typically are a tad higher than they are in the US. So, speaking from a conversion rate process, if you compare some of the prices of the S9 versus how much the S9 cost when it first launched in the UK, likely a slight adjustment because some of these leaks tend to be wrong a lot of the time. So, these are the numbers that I think personally are most likely. So, yeah, Samsung, if you're gonna raise the prices, I think it was definitely a smart move to make sure that you had a lower end configuration. I just think this confuses the lineup for a lot of people. The fact that if you don't want curved edges, you have to buy the budget version, and if you want the dual camera on the front, you have to buy the Plus version. And man, Samsung really knows how to instantly kill people's expectations of, boy, my Samsung phone's gonna be new and modern and up to date for years to come, because typically every time Samsung releases a phone, 6 months go by, and then the last generation phone is completely outpriced and outspec'd by what is currently available. I'm talking specifically about how the Galaxy Note line probably doesn't sell very well because of the fact that the Galaxy S products come out just a few months after the Note does, and then the Note feels incredibly dated. So particularly with the fact that the Galaxy S10 Plus, which, let me be very clear here, I'm not trying to hate on Samsung, I'm just saying the prices are going up for this Galaxy S lineup pretty quickly, given the Galaxy S9 Plus started at $840, and now the rumored S10 Plus is gonna be at $1,000 and configurable to up to 1 terabyte of storage, which I just think is insane. It's too much. But yes, the prices for the upgraded storage options are going to be crazy. They could likely outprice iPhones very easily. But that $1,000 price is going to be equal to that of the Note 9. So you can either get a faster CPU, more pixels, less forehead, in-display fingerprint reader, more cameras on the back, faster CPU and all that, versus S Pen. That's your one advantage on the Note 9. So yeah, once the S10 drops in March, the Note 9 is going to feel kind of unnecessary for most people, and people who bought the Note 9 are definitely going to feel like, oh boy, I kind of missed out on a bunch of new stuff that just dropped. But that's kind of the price you pay when your company releases 2 smartphones a year, and now with the whole lineup, way more than 2 smartphones a year. But they have 2 separate times of the year when they drop their Galaxy S products. And while I understand that iPhones, Drew, are $1,000 and $1,100, they have a ton of exclusives. This is often the thing that I bring up when comparing iPhones to Galaxies, and the fact that I'm saying that the Galaxy lineup is kind of expensive, and you don't see me saying that about iPhones, is there's a lot of things you can't get on iPhones on Androids. And a lot of people buy phones based on the platform that they're using. So a lot of people may admire and like something that Samsung does, but they're tethered to iOS, or they like iOS so much that they would never consider switching to it, but they'll still admire the hardware. I'm in a very similar boat. I love my Apple Watch, I love my AirPods, I love my Mac, and how they all work together. hardware is key to me, but I can still admire from a distance what Samsung is doing with their hardware, and I think that the Galaxy S10 is definitely going to check a ton of boxes for people out there who want to get everything they can out of a smartphone. So, looks like we're going to be having 4 cameras on the back, not necessarily sure what the 4th lens is going to do. If it's like other Samsung cameras they've released in the past that have 4 cameras, it could end up being really dumb, which is just a depth mapping camera, which I don't understand because we know, thanks to the Pixel and the iPhone XR, that you can do depth mapping with one lens. You don't need a dedicated lens for that. So hopefully on the Galaxy S10 you have lenses for wide angle and telephoto and monochrome or super telephoto and stuff like that. It will definitely have a ton of camera options for people out there. And the dual camera on the front with the S10 Plus will allow for wide angle and regular lenses. So you got a ton of cameras on this thing, and it is $1,000. So I guess that Samsung hardware is what you're paying extra for. But the reason I don't compare it similarly to iPhone prices is the fact that you can get Android and you can get the majority of the advantages Android has on much, much cheaper models. And Samsung, while they are going more expensive, keep in mind, they're going to be competing against the OnePlus 6T, which definitely might not have all the exclusives and all the hardware advantages of the Galaxy S10 lineup, but coming in at $550, it's going to be very difficult for a lot of people to justify doubling the price point of a OnePlus phone. And again, when we're talking Android here, people who are used to the Android platform, don't care about iOS exclusives or the ecosystem or the longevity, any of those things. If we're just talking about Android phones, Samsung kind of has a lot to compete with. These phones are rumored to be announced at the end of February and then officially launched at the beginning of March, which of course is in just about 3 months. And then we really get to see if Samsung can turn things around, given that the Galaxy S9 and the Note 9 were a bit of a sales disappointment for Samsung. The numbers were not very good. They were not top-selling phones, and it's likely because they were not very big changes over the Galaxy S8. Will these changes to the forehead and having camera holes and having cheaper end options like the S10 Lite persuade a lot of people to upgrade from their S7s or their S8s? Time, of course, will tell, but I definitely think it's interesting that Samsung is raising their prices so much because I guess they have the mentality that, well, as long as we're cheaper than Apple, we should be good, right? We can do whatever we want as long as our phones aren't quite as expensive as iPhones. But they're definitely pushing it. They're getting really close to that line, especially given the fact that these phones look like they're still going to have Bixby buttons, which I'm not excited for. But as per usual, Samsung makes really solid hardware that most of the time I've ever tried one, I've usually enjoyed it. Samsung probably has a ton of Android hardware exclusives that you're not going to be able to get on Pixels or get on OnePlus phones that may be more affordable. While I always say that the Pixel phones are incredibly overpriced and that they would be more reasonable if their lacking of hardware was how they excused an incredibly budget price tag, this Apple sheep actually believes that with the Galaxy S10 exclusives that they're going to be including with it, the faster fingerprint reader underneath the display, the camera hole approach opposed to a notch, the first phone likely to get the Snapdragon 855 in 2019, definitely won't be as fast as an iPhone CPU, but it'll still be decently fast for most Android phones competing in the US market. I think the prices, while high, are definitely going to be worth it to a ton of people, and these phones are likely going to be of somewhat interest, probably not sell as well as the Galaxy S8 did, as that was a much major change, whereas this, to everyday consumers, is not going to be as massive of a change. As exciting as a camera hole versus a notch and slightly thinner bezels and fingerprint readers underneath the display, as exciting those things are for people like you and me who watch tech stuff on YouTube, to the everyday consumer, it doesn't really change the way the phone works, and I personally think they could end up having a very mixed audience given how the user interface has to adapt to camera cutouts in the corners of phones, which, again, you guys may like or not like. It'll be fascinating to see how this different design approach is appealed to by general markets out there, and whether or not I will review one, I don't know. It kind of depends on how my content and how my channel is going by March of 2019. If the S10 or S10 Plus has some fancy new features that I wasn't anticipating, it all depends. But now that we know the official price points, I'm definitely thinking, yeah, okay, these leaks better be legit, these rumors better be true, and I hope the 4 cameras on the back can really do something exciting and special, and I hope that the Samsung One UI is able to unify that user experience a lot more, which, as the name suggests, it should, and using a Samsung phone should feel a lot more clean and a lot more optimized than before, thanks to a lot of the updates that Samsung should be rolling out soon, along with the Galaxy S10. So here's hoping. Definitely think it's going to be pretty good, and yeah, I'll confidently say already right now, I think the Galaxy S10 is going to be the best Android phone of 2019, hands down. In regards to what is the best bang for your buck, the OnePlus 7 might have quite a few advantages given that's coming out right around the corner, but comparing those two and comparing their drastically different prices, that I think will be very interesting and very very engaging for a lot of YouTube audiences and creators alike. So let me know what you think of my predictions on the Galaxy S10 and S10 Plus prices. Am I a little bit off? Are they going to be even more or a little bit less than what I'm suggesting? And what would you like these prices to be? Let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.